It's time for another episode of the 12-Man Fan Jam Show. A show made by 12s from around the world, for 12s around the world. I'm Mosette, and here is your host and my dad, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Oh, thank you, Mosette. I am indeed Moses, and welcome to episode 703, the Postdraft 2019 edition of your 12-Man Fan Jam Show. As we get ready to, take on the 2019 Seattle Seahawks draft picks. So put your tray table up and your seat back in the full upright position, grab a desired beverage or set of your choice, and remember, it doesn't matter where you get drafted. Well, I guess it does if you want to see highlights of yourself getting drafted a million times on TV, but really, just getting there is half the fun. What a fun show we have for you this evening. Let's check out who's in the posse for this episode. First, sad news, the yin to my yang and partner in crime Matt from merry old England will not be here, sadly. Something about elections in England, which is kind of weird, because I thought the Queen just did everything. You know, I'm going to make you the Secretary of Defense because I like your shorts. Or I thought she just pick people, but
oh, he's gonna love that one.
I guess they actually have elections in England, so who knew? Great idea. I wish we had thought of that. Okay, but who is here? And look, there are some people here, like our news hound Shadowhawk Will. Hi, Will.
Where? Oh, me. Yeah. Hi.
There.
How are you, Moses?
Wonderful. How are you, sir?
Well, after seeing footage of Kyler Murray walk across the draft day stage 4,872 times, I've decided to hate him. So,
did you know that he was drafted by the Cardinals? I did not know that.
I think they mentioned that once or twice, or ad nauseum. Yeah. I think I've built up a nice, healthy hatred for him as well. And someone else who's built up a nice, healthy hatred for all things Cardinals, and that is our friend Dustin. Hi, Dustin.
Hey, how's it going?
Wonderful, sir. How about you?
I'm doing well.
Excellent.
Don't care about Kyler Murray one bit.
No. Not a lot of us don't, except we want to hate him. And someone who has absolutely no hate in their heart, especially this type of year, because it is prom season, and we'll get to that in a minute. And that is Lamphawk. Stats Mark. Mark, welcome back to the show.
Boy, that sounded bad. Prom.
I'm just saying.
I did have 2 horrible proms. I guess no one's really surprised.
I had 3 terrible ones myself.
But anyway, at least we. Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, this will take you back. Here you go. This is what prom. This is what prom means right here. Here you go. This is prom for us right here. Yeah, you can't have prom without this song, right?
Oh,
Take
man.
My Breath Away by Berlin. The slow dance of all slow dances, folks. From the movie Top Gun.
Yes.
Yes. That'll take you back on it.
It does. Thankfully I avoided the mullet at the time.
As did I. I'm very happy to say.
Just so I do remember slow dancing when girls would slow dance with me at the time, and holding them closely and having them pressed against the flask I had in my shirt pocket, which would,
now that I'll buy.
Which foreshadowed quite a few things.
Are you glad to see me, or is that a flask in your pocket? Well, there's a flask in my pocket. All right.
Yeah, exactly. And now I've gone from slow dancing to seeing the endocrinologist. That's a big word.
Yeah, it is.
Because my parathyroid, my parathyroid is out of whack. So
oh my goodness!
So Lamphawk is going to have 2 surgeries this year.
Lamphawk's getting on a first name basis with people at his hospital.
Yeah.
And they're not naughty nurses this time.
No, not this time. But enough tokens, that may change.
Oh boy.
Well, listen, we do have a full show. Let's get to it, shall we? Sweet. All right, let's go. The show is run like an NFL football game, 4 quarters and a halftime, and it is all draft all the time in this episode. Quarter 1, we're going to talk about the Seahawk picks in rounds 1 and 2. Quarter 2, we'll talk about the picks in rounds 3 and 4. Halftime is the best Seahawk-themed trivia game on the internet. It is 12-Man Fan Jam Show halftime trivia
of the world.
And I believe Dustin is our reigning champ, is he not?
Usually.
Yeah, it's 2, 3 in a row, something like that. You've won every episode so far. You won 2 for 2.
I'm like that guy on Jeopardy.
I know. You got it down to a science. And you want to work for a baseball team as well, don't you?
Yeah, I do work for a baseball team.
You
so.
actually do, yeah. That's exciting news. We should share that. You're working for the Mariners now.
Yep, I do. I take X-rays for the Seattle Mariners now. I've worked about 5 games, which is
Awesome.
pretty cool. And actually, the first round of the draft, it was a unique experience for me because I was working at the Mariners game and I didn't want to go out and watch the game in the stadium, so they put the NFL draft on in the locker room for me. So I just hung out in the training room and watched the NFL draft on Thursday night while the game was going on.
Very, very cool stuff.
And the way the Mariners have been fielding, Dustin's going to be playing third base before too much longer.
Hot corner.
Third quarter is going to be hot. Speaking of hot, rounds 5 and 6, we're going to talk about those picks. And in the fourth quarter, we'll finish it up. Finish round 7, our undrafted free agents. Give our thoughts and grades for this draft for the Seahawks. And also, from time to time throughout the show, we are going to be injecting throughout this program possible job ideas for the newly retired and very Polish kicker, Sebastian Janikowski. We wish him the best, of course, but we want to do more than that. We want to help Sebastian find a new side job to kind of help him pass the time. So occasionally you may hear us come up with a job for Sebastian Janikowski, and maybe you will, and Sassman Mark, maybe you won't. Right?
I won't, right?
Maybe you won't. And if you don't, it'll sound something like this.
Oh boy.
There it is. I got that back for you eventually. I know it was hard to get back, but we got it.
Oh, some early memories tied in with that, sound.
Oh, yes. Well, before we talk about those early memories, we want to remind you to like, share, subscribe to the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. Join our Facebook group, 12-Man Fan Jam Show. We are on Twitter. We're on email. Let us know your thoughts. We're on iTunes. We're on Podbean. All right, let's get to the first quarter.
It's the first quarter, bitches.
All right, first quarter, and time to discuss the first 2 rounds of the NFL draft for the Seahawks. Now, our Shadowhawk Will is more than just a news hound. He also does a wonderful article for SeahawksStyle.com called The 12th Man. Will, how long have you been writing this thing? It's got to be 10 years or longer.
Well, I don't do it anywhere near as often as I used to, but my very first column was for the site was in October of 2000.
Oh, so,
wow.
My goodness, that's almost 20 years. Amazing. And if you have not read his articles, we try to put them up on our website as well, our 12-Man Fan Jam Show Facebook page. They are spectacular. There's no reason that Will here should not be writing for the Seattle Times, but that's a whole nother argument. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of guide ourselves this evening through the draft, through the eyes of Shadowhawk, and then add our own flavor to what he said about the picks, because he is our resident draft expert without question. Not self-appointed. We have appointed him and anointed him our draft expert. So we're going to kind of
use
what he said.
And yet we tied in the draft challenge.
And we did tie in the draft challenge the last second. I had to lead, and we'll get to that at the end of the show. I had to lead, and then the next day you tied me. So at least we came out with a tie on the draft challenge, thank goodness. But let's go ahead and talk about this draft class. I was going to talk about all the trades the Seahawks did to go from 4 to 11. That's a whole nother show in itself. Let's just say,
oh yeah,
here's what they picked, and we'll go from there.
Abracadabra.
Yeah, their first pick of 11 was a first rounder named DJ Collier, defensive end from Texas Christian University. You wrote, Will, the ability to kick inside on passing downs like Michael Bennett did during his tenure with the Seahawks, and I think that's an important part. Watch some video, Will. This guy can really, really get after the quarterback.
Well, yeah, he's a violent pass rusher. I mean, he's got really heavy hands. He likes to hit the defensive ends and not defensive ends, the offensive tackles and guards when he kicked inside. Actually, Senior Bowl was the first time he really did that extensively, and he took to that very well. So, I mean, he's not the quick twitch edge rusher that a lot of us were hoping for. But, you know, Collier's got some potential. I mean, he's got to come in and do the work like everybody else. But, you know, if we anchor down the Michael Bennett spot, minus all the offsides penalties we got to witness over the years, you know, Collier could be a really great pick for us.
I agree. Lamp, this is your defensive end edge rusher that I know you wanted pretty badly. And what are your thoughts on Collier? What have you seen so far through film and hearing stuff?
Well, obviously, yeah, with Clark gone, and I know that's a little separate thing, but I was kind of happy with that whole situation. Anyway, but with Collier, what what I like is, I mean, it's a tricky thing to do, but I like how Pete and John try and play, sports psychologist with. I think they try and read as much as they can, and maybe they're a little bit better at it than other teams, but with him, Pete talked about his Collier's past and losing his mom when he was a freshman.
Yes.
In was it college?
Yes.
And
yep.
So in the last game she saw, things didn't go great. So he tries to use, he uses that hardship, and I mean that's a huge one to overcome because he's still a very young guy. At any age it's tough, but particularly then. It's the chip on the shoulder thing that they talk about. And again, all this isn't exclusive to the Seahawks, but I think Pete and John really seem to emphasize that part of a player, and it can pay off huge because we know talented guys physically in this league. We just had one in, and then he's gone now. But Deion Jordan was the number what pick in the draft? Number 3.
Yeah.
And here he is, like pretty much almost out of chances unless he's been picked up. But that was, I mean, he was a rookie 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing how the physical stuff you need it, especially for football.
Hey, Dustin, what did you think of the pick?
Well, I mean, that's pretty much what Will was talking about as far as the Michael Bennett role thing. I thought that was kind of interesting. It's good to have a guy who's versatile, and they like to have the versatility as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's interesting to me is that, or what I was hoping for with him is that if he fills in the Michael Bennett role, I hope he's more consistent as far as like what was saying with the offsides penalties.
Yeah.
And then in the run defense as well, don't just take off and run 5 yards in the backfield and watch the quarterback step up or watch the running back run by. Hopefully he plays with some more discipline and consistency. And that in itself would be an upgrade, which would be a huge help for us.
I agree. I saw some footage of him from the Senior Bowl, and they moved him inside, and he was just absolutely destroying the guards. So that's something to think about, which I'm excited about. Round 2, they went with their first pick, and round 2 was Marquise Blair. Will, you said essentially he's a minicam, a ferocious safety with the speed to fly around the field, desire to hit anything that moves. He can be too aggressive sometimes, drew some targeting penalties, but I know, was it you or somebody that said they of all the targeting penalties he got last year, they looked at him, and one was probably targeting, but the other ones were kind of questionable. So maybe not as bad as we think it's going to be, Will.
Well, that's something that Pete Carroll and Ken Norton are going to have to make sure that, that he's playing under control while he's flying around. But, the Blair pick surprised me at first because I thought they would go safety at this point in the draft, but I was looking at some other guys, Juan Thornhill or Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, guys like that. But the more you read about it, the more it makes sense because we have not had that enforcer, that physical presence, that intimidation over the middle since Cam Chancellor had to retire.
Yeah.
And, Blair, he's a lot smaller than Cam. There are very few people that are Cam size. But if he can bring any portion of what Cam Chancellor brought to his game, just basically letting opposing offenses know that if you come over the middle, you're going to pay a price. That's something this defense has missed the last couple of years, and that's something that'll help get it back on top.
I agree. Dustin, any thoughts on this pick?
Yeah, I think he fits right in. I mean, he's got that hit him hard attitude, and he's apparently pretty aggressive and competitive. And he's 6'1", but he's only 195. So I imagine he can probably throw on another 10, 15 pounds and be that much more of a thumper. So yeah, it's going to be fun to watch what they do with him and see how well he plays.
Be nice if we had another Cam, wouldn't it be, Mark?
Well, yeah. I mean,
no, we don't want another one of those.
Well,
right?
Who needs Cam?
Who needs that?
When you think of him, then you think of the rest of the guys at that time when everyone was, new and younger and all that. I mean, that was just insane how everything just aligned for that secondary. But with Blair, it's going to be really interesting. I mean, I like how, while he didn't show up on a lot of mock drafts at that spot or whatever, and there was other names and other players, different positions to take. I mean, when I read up on him, again, this is very kind of Seahawky in terms of let's bring back kind of a smash mouth thing. I don't know. Utah, I think, seems to produce some pretty disciplined players too. Utah State. I mean, we got a Hall of Famer out of Utah State.
No kidding.
That's middle line, second round,
Something
or whatever.
About those Mormons, man.
I know, yeah, exactly. Well, now there's got to be. I was telling Dennis, there's got to be some bad incorporating the Utes. We have the Utes. And do like a Goodfellas Joe Pesci thing with that.
No, the Vinny, I think, for 2 Utes. You're foreshadowing a bit because we do have our second Ute, which will be in the second quarter. But
right.
Yes, we are going to talk about that.
They are the Utes of the nation.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. See,
perfect.
The writer. But see, with Hill and Thompson, they're good. But it's like, again, I'm curious if Blair just re-energizes, reinvigorates kind of the hitting, which is hard to do with all the rules and rule changes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like we're at least attempting to do kind of an enforcer move there.
I agree. Real quick, apparently we do have a new job offer for Sebastian Janikowski.
And now 12-Man Fan Jam proudly present job suggestions for retired kicker Sebastian Janikowski.
And Polish resident. That's the Polish national anthem. Thank you, me. This just in. The New York Giants are considering signing Sebastian Janikowski to be a new backup quarterback. So good luck with that. Maybe that'll happen because they seem to have some weird picks. A pick that wasn't weird for us was the second rounder. That is DK Metcalf, a pick that had my son Little Mo jumping up and down and hollering and screaming in joy. This guy is huge, 6'3", 230, an 82 7/8 inch wingspan, runs a 4.33 40, and posted the best 10-yard split at the combine. He reminds me, Will, I hate to say it, but when you guy coming out of college, I don't want to go Mel Kiper. I sound like it, don't I? I don't want to go Mel Kiper. But on film, he looked to me like a Randy Moss because he was just so big and quick. And I haven't seen film like that from a guy quite like that since Randy Moss. What are your thoughts?
Well, trading up to take Metcalf at this point was just a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the physical gifts, and just what the man can do at that size is just it doesn't seem right, basically. So you coach him up a little bit. You got someone who can take the top off of defenses. We've got another deep threat and the big receiver, so big red zone threat too. And I tell you, I got a chance to check out a couple of video clips from the first day of rookie minicamp today. He looked like he was gliding pretty well.
Nice.
It's just rookie minicamp, and he's just doing drills and whatnot, but he looks pretty smooth. So
good.
He may make a big contribution sooner rather than later.
Hopefully a Randy Moss without the attitude, right, Dustin?
Oh, no doubt. But I think with this guy, I'm not as worried about that because he's a third-generation professional. So I think he probably knows a thing or two about being a pro and being in the locker room. His father and his grandfather both played. He was kind of like the rock of the team. He was a third-generation pro wrestler. Kind of the same thing. This guy's big, he's strong, he's heavy, he's fast. He put up more on the bench press than a couple of the linemen that went in the first round.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see Sherman try and play some press coverage off him, see what happens at the line.
That could be
That'd
fun.
Be awesome. Lamphock, what was your thought?
Well, of all of our picks, this is, I think, easily going to be the one that we'll all kind of look back on. It'll be interesting, in other words, to see where he is at, like any draft class, but where he's at in particular, like a few years from now. Has he done well? Is he still with the team?
Exactly.
Because there's so much, even though like Collier's our first, was our first pick, and this guy slid. It's just, he even has the name like DK. There's already some kind of ring to it. It's like RW to DK. There's already star potential there. The guy is a freak. I mean, it just, and of course Pete could resist and had to take off his own shirt, which is just good old Pete, that video. You guys seen that? The tweet? Did you guys see this?
Oh yeah.
Him shaking hands, of course. So, but of all the guys, I mean, he's the most fascinating pick that we got, because I would love for shoddy to sit there and just dial up, maybe even like first play, first game, send him on just a mad ass sprint straight down the field and around by everybody, and have just RW Huck it just to kind of kick off the whole season. Like, here's, even if we don't connect on that, there's the first volley, and let's see this guy. Here's the track star. Put that early fear in the opponent. But he's he's easily the most fascinating guy, and I just hope he's not the next David Boston. That's another guy that came to mind, because amazing. Hulk, he looks good as a fathead on your wall and all that kind of stuff. But the guy just really didn't have much of a career, although he played a while. It's a long time ago, but feels, if I'm wondering if his physique could interfere with stuff. So
he also mentioned. It was mentioned. Go ahead, Will. I know what you're going to say. Just go ahead and say it.
Okay, well, David Boston is the only player I know who told teammates not to hit him in the chest in practice because it hurt his nipple rings. So,
yep, I knew you were going to say that. Yeah,
that's a true story. Huh?
That is a true story. Yes.
Yep, we shared that last time.
I thought you were trying to confuse Lamphawk, but
what was funny is that we did an article on him because he was at 3%. DK Metcalf was that 3% body fat that we all laughed at. There's no way he'll have 3, whatever. But it was.
Well, they said at one point it was 1.6, which
landed him in the hospital. That's what it was. It was 1.6, and they said anything under 3 is impossible. That's what they said. Well, and our roster now has a JD, a CJ, a KJ, a DJ, an LJ, and a DK. So that's interesting. What is also interesting, real quick, is apparently I have it looks like another job offer for Janikowski coming across the line here. Maybe, maybe not.
And now 12-Man Fan Jam proudly present job suggestions for retired kicker Sebastian Janikowski.
Isn't that a beautiful national anthem? I'm sorry. Another offer possibly for Sebastian Janikowski. Keep your eye on this. The Vikings have offered to sign him to be their new place kicker because they just seem to take old, bad place kickers. But anyway, that aside, we'll end the first quarter.
It's the end of the first quarter, bitches.
Oh, we have so much more draft picks to talk about thanks to the guys. We went from 4 to 11 picks. Thanks to Schneider and thanks to Pete Carroll, we've got a lot more draft to talk about. And we'll do that right after this.
You're listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show, a Seahawk Positivity production.
Boy, is this great!
Holy shit, it's the second quarter.
All right, welcome back to the second quarter of the post-draft episode of your 12-Man Fan Jam Show. A fountain of useless information is what we have here, where maturity is often a reach. So,
optional.
We're going to look at the 3rd and 4th round picks in this quarter. But before we do, it looks like possibly is that maybe yes? It looks like we just might have another Janikowski job suggestion.
And now 12-Man Fan Jam proudly present job suggestions for retired kicker Sebastian Janikowski.
I'm so sad that Matt is not here to listen to that wonderful Polish/Russian accent I'm pulling off there. Lamp, you thought it's pretty good, didn't you?
It almost sounds like Will doing a Russian accent. It's weird, like your voice actually sounds
one
like
of us,
Will.
I think. But I'm not sure who.
If you say so.
Yeah. Possible job suggestion for the newly retired Sebastian Janikowski. He can go back home to Poland and become the Polish Navy submarine screen door installer. That's a joke from the old days.
Wow.
Yeah, that'll take you back. I'll take you back.
Oh, back to the school bus days.
Yeah, let's go to the draft. Third round, the Seahawks selected. I knew Mark would get that. Cody Barton, linebacker of Utah, and his 6'2", 237-pound linebacker, described by one scout as a little bit of a wild horse who will knock the blank out of you. Charles Nelson Riley, what is Bippy? You're right. Knock the Bippy out of you. A vicious tackler, and his work ethic is off the charts. But more importantly, guys, this gives our team 2 Utes.
2 what? What was that word?
What word?
2 what?
What?
Did you say Utes?
Yeah, 2 Utes.
2 Utes. We got 2 Utes on the team. Will, what are your thoughts?
Well, first off, shout out to Mark for predicting that the Seahawks would look at linebacker in this draft, because that's something I didn't see very many places. But when you look at Barton and one of our later picks, which we'll get into later, it's pretty clear that they've wanted just pure athletic ability at this position and have not been able to find it in recent years. And that's part of the reason why the depth at linebacker has been pretty thin at times, just because they haven't been drafting the position, and it's clear they haven't been liking what they've seen. Barton, the kid can just fly. I mean, he will just fly all over the place. And when you're playing teams like the Rams and what they can do laterally, you need somebody who can beat them to the outside, push them back into the middle of the field, to avoid giving up the big plays. So I think this pick and the Burke Irvin pick later, these guys are gonna see time more quickly than some of the national folks would have you believe. I think Carroll and Ken Norton are gonna find ways to get gonna get Barton into the mix, definitely.
Excellent. I love to hear that. Dustin, linebacker, you like the pick?
Yeah, I was a little surprised. I thought he was a little undersized, but sounds like he's a hard worker that has it between the ears there. Sounds like he's a pretty smart player. And then if he's got some speed and likes to hit and recognize things, I mean, that's a strong combination for a good player. And I know that they're trying to get younger and faster and also bulk up the special teams, and I think he's going to be a pretty good special teams player for us as well.
I agree. Lamp, congratulations on picking a linebacker for the Seahawks, knowing they wanted one.
Oh, geez, Will is too kind. I just, the only thing, because I think a lot of us, there's, of course, what's written and what's being publicized are the other needs, especially with Baldwin now looking, it's still shock that he might not return. And I think it's not just him kind of, putting us on. I mean, that's obviously a pretty serious thing, but
I'm sure.
But, everything else is discussed. But when I looked at linebacker, it's like, okay, KJ, he came back on a 2-year thing, but there's a little injury history, Hendricks or Kendricks, I'm sorry. Of all things that he's looking at, right? With insider, whatever it is, insider trading, or I don't know. Should just call him the insider. That'd be an awesome name. And then when you have, one of the best linebackers in the league and, should be enshrined, in Wagner, but what years is for him? Year 9? I mean, it's it really is with him, especially, you have these great
Year
players
7.
and then, fingers crossed, knock on wood, but when they start to slide a little bit or if he gets hurt, I mean, it's like, so I'm glad that we're being proactive. I mean, this draft felt, it was a great draft in just terms like we didn't, there are not too many reaches. I don't know. Some people call this one and other guys a reach. That's kind of labeled Seattle, but overall, I meant we're filling a need, and it feels like we're getting ahead of the game a little bit with this pick, and he feels like a Rudy character. He's like that, that kid that always hustles and and that kind of energy, and he's going to be, the other thing too is, special teams, that was a signature for us for years, but lately it has gotten really sloppy, and him and a few of the other guys, are going to get plenty of time that way on the field.
That's right. The surest tackler in the Pac-12 this season. He had 116 tackles. He only missed 7. So that's kind of nice. So you got to like that. And then more finagling from our team, and we got Gary Jennings in the 4th round. A big body receiver, 6'2", 214, 4.42 speed. The only problem, Will, he has a little bit of a dropsy problem, doesn't he?
I think that's correctable, though. They seem to be more concentration drops than anything. And Seattle has not had the best of luck with 4th-round receivers over the past few years. But I like Jennings. It's one of those picks in retrospect that I really should have made on my box. It's just plain obvious.
Yeah.
But you get a guy who can play outside and in the slot, so you get the versatility that Carroll likes. He's got good speed. Runs his routes really well. This kid could definitely contribute right out of the gate.
Yep. The drop scare you a little bit there, Mark?
Well, yeah, oh boy, yeah, and I was that a text I sent you? Oh man,
yeah,
the
you
home
did.
premieres.
As a matter of fact, yeah.
And what was that? God, that was a running story with what's his name? Daryl Jackson went through.
Well, and Corey Robinson, that whole group, they led the league against drops there.
Well,
for a while.
Robinson, it turned out, was a red flag from the get-go, but Jackson went through. He was solid, and then he went through a thing, and then there was something where they were. Then Holmgren was commenting on how they were videotaping, like having Jackson watch videotape, the receivers coach of watching him catch. The difference between when he would catch the ball and not catch it, and Holmgren just said, no, forget that, because now we're getting way up in his head. But yeah, anytime we hear those dropsy stories, it just, oh God, those
brings us back to the days.
It does. But with this guy, again, with the receiver picks in general, I'm wondering if it almost feels like we had two draft boards. One, if they thought the prognosis for Baldwin was going to be good, or maybe behind the scenes, they've known for a while it was not looking great, and they, because I was kind of surprised in a way that, round 4 is relatively high for us to go.
Yeah, it is, but I
this
think it was
position, but I like
well.
it. I mean, I like the pick. And size wise, it's refreshing. 6'1", just seemed, 6'1", 214. 13 touchdowns as a senior, and yes, I am reading off some stuff here. But it's he sounds like a good compliment. So
yeah, he does. Dustin, what are your thoughts?
I like that he was fairly productive. It looks like in college, from what I was reading. And then another receiver who's over 6 foot, which is nice. The bigger the target, the better off we are, and he's got speed. So and the fact that he's got some versatility as well, playing inside and outside. That's another guy that the direction the Seahawks are taking is different than what it's been. We've had quite a few short receivers that we've been working with, and seems like they're with bolstering up the run game and how it was working last year, trying to suck in guys to stop the run. They're going to try and have some speedsters on the outsides of let Russell throw down the sideline deep and see what happens. So I kind of like how this all plays out schematically.
I do too, especially with the way the run game was last year. And speaking of that, they shored up the run game a little bit more. Had a little line insurance with their next pick. Phil Haynes, guard out of Wake Forest, a versatile lineman who played right tackle, right guard, settled at left guard, durable, tough, started 47 games at the collegiate level. I really like this pick. What about you?
Well, Mike Upati, we signed him to play left guard this offseason. And he's been banged up the last couple of years.
Yes.
Haynes is going to get some starts for us at left guard this year. And it just reminds me again how glad I am that Tom Cable is gone, because I like getting these big, mauling offensive linemen who will just go out there and kick you in the face until you run home screaming.
Yes.
Haynes is one of those guys. I mean, he's a mauler in the run game, decent in pass protection. His draft stock was hurt. I guess, Wake Forest has kind of a strange offensive scheme, and it doesn't do their linemen any favors.
Right.
But I love this pick, and I think he's going to see some time this year and might make Upati a one-year rental.
Well, and the best thing about this, Dustin, is he did play. He was a high school basketball star, so we put him and Fant in the basketball team, and we'd take on anybody. But
Hoop Fest in Spokane.
Hoop Fest, yeah. I'm from Indiana. That's all I think about.
I was just going to say that's
that
Indiana
and corn.
Talk.
What do you think there, Dustin? Good pick.
Yeah, I think so, because with the health of the guards there, it's kind of shaky. So I think having a big dude like this. And by the way, apparently he's got some room on his frame to get bigger, is what I was reading. So he's 322 and is only going to grow, apparently. So I mean,
good.
That's huge. And the fact that he's a big run blocker, and again, he's not a converted guy. He's not a defensive lineman we're converting. He's actually played a good amount of football. He's coming out as a senior. So
that's nice. Now, listen, Mark, I know you talked about the offensive line. I was thinking about this today before the show. And you always talk about the offensive line needs help, and you've been begging for it. It had a pretty good offensive line last year, but I want you to think about this now. We have a young Joey Hunt, who I'd say is young. We have Simmons that came in and played at guard last year very well when he had to replace Sweezy and Fluker when they were injured. So we've got him. Jamarco Jones, who was hurt all year last year, who played impressively before he got hurt. We got Fant. We got this kid. We're starting to develop a pretty good second string line, aren't we there, Mark?
Well, yeah, I like this pick.
Yeah.
I meant 6'4", 322. That's just insane.
Yeah.
But he's a power. You can get into people, move them off their spot pretty well. 4 years, I really like that. And then he has some experience at different positions. Although, of course, in the NFL, it's going to be a whole lot more hectic. But
right.
I'm curious with this guy if my thing again with any position, it seems like the ones who are good or above average to good to great, they show flashes really early, and so I'm really curious when this kid kind of flashes and shows some like, wow, okay, he seems to be kind of getting it. Of course, he's going to make mistakes, but it's going to be fascinating to see that part of the development because he's going to play, I'm sure, and we'll see how quickly he picks up the scheme and what kind of flair he has,
right.
To borrow from Office Space. No, I just to see how he plays because it's the thing that I know he's improved and everything, but with if I mention Fetty here, it's like Fetty to me lacks that sizzle, and I thought that was good news that we didn't pick up his option. It doesn't mean he won't be back or anything, but I'm happy we went this route with him as a side note because I don't think he's earned the option anyway. But this guy Haynes, and a great name, Phil Haynes.
Phil Haynes. Right. It does sound right. It sounds also right. Another one with a great name on the 4th round is Ugo Chukwu Amadi. And I tell you right now, safety from Oregon. And if they don't play this when he gets an interception, there's something wrong with the guy that does the music in Seattle. I'm sorry. Dancing Baby not included, by the way, but Ugo, as he goes by, started as quarterback at Oregon before moving to safety, so he's got that experience. He also has a great testing numbers, terrific defensive back. All right. Hey, knock it off. All right. Sorry. He doesn't have great testing. Good. Doesn't have great testing numbers, but terrific defensive back who can play free safety, nickel, or line up over the slot receiver, which I think is something we need.
Well, it's funny because you look at the numbers and they were only so-so, but you look at his actual play in Oregon and you see a guy who's a dynamic player. He's a bundle of energy on the field. I mean, he just flies all around the field making plays. And I think he'll see some time as the nickel, but this is a guy who could conceivably in a year or so be our free safety.
He could, yeah.
I mean, he doesn't, nobody has the range of Earl Thomas, but this guy's pretty close.
He is.
Carroll and Norton can get creative with this kid. And
yes.
He's the type of guy who's just going to fire up everybody else around him and, should be fun to watch. I mean, I like the pick a lot more now that I know more about him.
Yes, I agree. Dustin, another good defensive back. It sounds like.
Yeah, and going into a good program where they develop defensive backs really well. So
yes,
I mean, his name is fun to say, and he flies around the field. So
what more could you ask, Mark? Yeah. What more could you possibly ask?
I don't know. We could give him a nickname of Chumbawamba or something.
I was actually going to get knocked down, but I was thinking about that one. A little Chumbawamba.
It's scary if you're on my wavelength. And anyway,
well,
no, he you know what? Again, another 4-year starter, Lombardi Award winner. You gotta like that.
You gotta like that.
And
hope he gets some Lombardis at this level too.
It
just there you go. It just again, this feels. This whole class feels like we still have some good veterans and people have been with the team a while. But he's another guy, paired up with Blair. That who knows? You can't duplicate the Legion of Boom, but if you get results that are effective, maybe this is the beginning of something with him and Blair coming in the same year.
Maybe it is. We will find out. Well, that's only half of the draft. Let's go ahead and take this thing to halftime.
Holy shit, it's halftime!
Wow, halfway only through the massive draft class of the 2019 Seattle Seahawks. But we're going to take a small break here. We're going to have the posse square off against each other. Another rousing rendition of 12-Man Fan Jam Show halftime trivia. And that is coming up next!
You're listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show, a Seahawk Positivity production.
Yes, it's halftime, and welcome to another fun-filled edition of the best play-along Seahawk-themed trivia game show on the internet. It's time for 12-Man Fan Jam Show Halftime Trivia. And here's your host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity. Yes, thank you, and welcome to another wonderful edition of 12-Man Fan Jam Show Halftime Trivia
of the world.
The trivia game that tests the knowledge of both our posse and our listeners. Our contestants are the posse themselves, Dustin, Statsman Mark, and Will. And the rules are officially on the clock. So here's how the trivia game works. There'll be 2 rounds of questions. Each contestant answers 1 question each round. If they get it correct, they get 1 point. After 2 rounds of questions, there'll be a final trivia question worth 2 points. If there's a tie after that, then the tie players go on to a special secret overtime question where the winner becomes reigning 12-man Fan Jam Show trivia champion and also gets a prize chosen especially for them. As an added bonus to those listening on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel, the questions and possible answers will be displayed on your screen so you, the viewer and listener, can play along as well. If you do, please let us know how you did on the questions. Remember, there's no Googling, no phone a friend, and please, no wagering. However, there is a lifeline. Before taping this show, my 2 charming Seahawk fan children, Mosette and Little Mo, did take the quiz as well. If the contestants want to know what the kids said, they can ask that but once and only once during the entire game show and only in the first 2 rounds. Now let's get ready to play 12-Man Fan Jam Show Halftime Trivia. Alright, you guys know the rules. 2 rounds, a point per question, and then a final question worth 2 wonderful points and a chance at overtime, which we all cannot wait to happen. Dustin, you have won every Season 7 trivia championship so far. So first round, question 1, 2, or 3?
3.
Dustin goes with 3. Will, 1 or 2?
1.
And number 2 goes to Mark. All right. These are about draft picks. Kind of. One of them is not really about draft picks. Okay.
Well, about which college they went to?
All right.
Oh, man.
That was a good one.
Will, this
you got to save those for Matt.
I know. Will, Matt's gonna love this one. Here you go. Will, you ready? Okay. DJ Collier is from Texas Christian University. In what city is Texas Christian University located? Fort Worth, Houston, or San Antonio? What city is TCU in? Fort Worth, Houston, or San Antonio?
Well, in the spirit of the 2003 Minnesota Vikings, I'm going to pass on my pick.
Get another pick up there. You can ask the kids, you know.
Yep. Why not? What do the kids say?
Both kids said Houston. The planet Houston. Fort Worth, Houston, or San Antonio?
Well, all right. I'm trusting your kids, Moses. I'm going to go Houston.
Going with the planet Houston. Little Superman 2 reference for those of you who have no idea what I'm doing. The kids said Houston. You said Houston. And the answer is Fort Worth. So...
Well, if I'd gone with my first instinct, I would have guessed San Antonio, so it really wouldn't have worked out either way.
It wouldn't have worked out either. Mark, your question is about the 2 Utes from Utah.
Perfect.
The 2 Utes from Utah. It's about Utah, actually. And what I want to know from you is what's the average depth of the Great Salt Lake in Utah? Is it 13 feet, 15 feet, or 17 feet? How deep average is the Great Salt Lake in the great state of Utah? Is it 13 feet, 15 feet, or 17 feet? Dance!
Wow. Oh, boy. Well, it's certainly deeper than my thinking. Let's see here. 13, 15, 17. We are going to go 17.
We're going to go 17. Mosette went 17. Little Mo went 13. You went 17. Oh, that old familiar sound. Yeah. Yeah, your old song is back. 13.
Yeah.
13 feet.
It makes it even worse knowing it's coming with your little hint.
Yeah, I didn't hold on that long. I went ahead and let you die a natural death there. Okay.
And Matt is saying right now, if he's listening in the future, there's nothing new there.
No, what he's saying is it's preseason. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Dustin. DK Metcalf.
Oh, he's that new Seahawk guy.
You're right. Oh, no. Hey,
that's one point.
It was mentioned that DK is a third-generation professional player.
Yep.
What position did his dad play in the NFL? Was he a defensive lineman, an offensive lineman, or a running back? DK Metcalf's dad.
Was he what now? Say it again.
Was he defensive lineman, offensive lineman, or running back?
I want to say defensive lineman. I think his grandfather was an offensive lineman. So, yeah, defensive lineman.
Okay. You're going defensive lineman. Mosette went offensive lineman. Little Mo.
I may have gotten it backwards. I don't know.
Yeah, you got it backwards.
Okay.
Dad was offensive lineman. Yeah. That's all right.
What a bunch of crap.
I know. And we go to round 2 and everyone is at 0. So we'll try again here. Dustin, 4, 5, or 6?
6.
All right. Will?
Let's stick with the order we've been in so far because it's worked out so well.
It has, hasn't it? You're going to take 4. Mark will take 5, yeah. It's worked out so well. All right, question for Will. Cody Barton from the University of Utah. His little sister, Danny, is still at the University of Utah, and she does something there. What does she do at the University of Utah? Is she a cheerleader? Is she a softball player or a volleyball player? Cody Barton's little sister, Danny, what's she do at the University of Utah? Is she a cheerleader, a softball player, or a volleyball player?
She attends class.
Yes, probably. She'd have to for any of those 3, I would think.
Well, one would hope, anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say softball.
He's going softball. Mosette went cheerleader. Little Mo went softball. You went softball. Nah, she's a volleyball player. She is a volleyball player. Mark!
Yes.
Wake Forest. Our lineman, our wonderful guard that we picked up, Mr. Haynes, is from Wake Forest. Wake Forest is located in what North Carolina city? Asheville, Raleigh, or Winston-Salem? Where is Wake Forest located? Asheville, Raleigh, or Winston-Salem, North Carolina?
Raleigh. Or Winston-Salem. Raleigh.
Raleigh? Yes, Raleigh.
You know what? I'll check with the kids.
All right. Little Mo said Asheville, and Mosette said Winston-Salem. Nobody said Raleigh.
Okay. Well, you know what? In the spirit of Matt, I'm going to fade the kids and go Raleigh.
Matt, this one's for you, man. This one's for you, Matt. And didn't work out.
I channeled the Matt, and
it didn't work.
Nothing.
Well, you know, it takes a lot of skill to be full Matt. So
Winston-Salem. And here's the thing. Now, I almost guarantee you here that Mark is going to kick himself when he hears the question that I'm about to present to Dustin.
Oh, man.
Because Mark and I are twins separated at birth. And if there's one thing I know on this list he would know, it's this question. So, Dustin, are you ready? No pressure. You can't, and you cannot ask Mark. So,
okay.
Dustin, we drafted a player from the University of Oregon.
Yep.
The University of Oregon was also the site for the filming of what movie? American Pie, Animal House, or Dead Poets Society?
Oh.
University of Oregon, site of filming what movie? American Pie, Animal House, or Dead Poets Society?
Well, first things first, I want to say that I didn't get anything backwards with the last question. I just looked it up. I was just flat out wrong. His grandfather was actually a running back. Not a defensive lineman.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was wrong
checking
twice.
on me. So you're looking things up. You are actually breaking the rules.
Afterwards.
Okay.
After I was already asked the question.
Okay.
After I answered wrong.
Well said to a teacher.
Yeah, I was just learning.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say Animal House.
Why are you saying Animal House?
Why? Because you guys said you both know it.
Well,
I know
movies. Maybe Dead Poets Society. is a good movie, and so is American Pie. And you said Animal House.
No, give it up, Dennis.
And that's right. It's Animal House.
Yeah, you don't even bother trying, Dennis.
I'm the teacher, and I still can't get out of it. All right. Hey, guys, what a wonderful couple rounds that was, wasn't it? And now it's time for the final question.
Question.
Mark?
Well, I was just going really quick. This is just like a Giants baseball game down here. There's only one run after 6 innings. Actually, there'd be no runs. There'd be no runs after 6 innings for that group.
I was thinking at this point we should be playing like Celebrity Jeopardy, where you ask us a question like,
oh god,
just name the ball that you use in football and you win.
Right.
I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 3. What is that number?
And after a lifetime, after a lifetime of buzzers, I'd change my name to Turd Ferguson.
Suck it, come back.
Beautiful.
Seriously, though, I'm just picturing that Rob Schneider line from The Water Boy. Oh no, we suck again.
I can see it'd be Will. Will would be like Sean Connery. Shuck it, Moses. That's what you get. All right.
Sounds about right.
That's our Saturday Night Live Jeopardy theme skit. Thank you. We appreciate that. All right, final question. 2 points to the winner, and obviously they will win. Closest without going over the number gets the 2 points and is reigning 12-man Fan Jam Show halftime trivia champion. Here's the order. The order we will go is we will go. Mark will go first, and then Will, and then Dustin. So here we go. The question is this, Mark. It's about Sebastian Janikowski. How many field goals did Sebastian Janikowski miss in his NFL career? His entire NFL career. That's a lot of years. How many field goals did he miss his entire career?
Wow. Okay. Give me a moment to do some math here.
That's like a 19-year career.
What I love is that I lead the group in incorrect answers, and yet I'm always the table setter for the final question. And yet somehow I'll tap into my Rain Man mind and be in the in the zip code.
The ballpark,
anyway.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm stalling. So let's see here.
How many field goals did Sebastian Janikowski miss in his entire NFL
his entire career? I'm gonna go. Let's see. I'm gonna go. 20 years. I'm gonna go 115.
115. Will. How many missed field goals for Sebastian Janikowski?
I will go 95.
95. Ooh, make it tough on Dustin. 115-95, Dustin. How many field goals did Sebastian Janikowski miss in his entire NFL career?
Both of those seem like a lot to me. I was thinking 36 originally.
Is that your guess?
Yeah, I figured he missed maybe 3-4 a year at most. So I'll say
36.
I'll run up to 50. I'll run it up.
Oh, 50. Okay. So you have 50. Will has 95. Mark has 115. The number of field goals missed by our friend and former kicker and now retired Sebastian Janikowski for his entire career was 106.
Oh, damn.
Guess who's got the touch tonight? That's right. Will's got the touch, baby.
About freaking time.
Shuck on that, Dustin.
I didn't think there was any chance he got over 100. Wow.
Yeah, 106. Oh, dig that 80s jive coming out. You feel that? That is an 80s song happening right there.
I feel a mullet sprouting even as we speak.
Oh, my God.
Will's victory song is as obscure as mine.
You're a winner.
I feel like I should be wearing my Optimus Prime t-shirt.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, I saw this movie in the theater twice. So.
I never saw it.
I did too. I even took a day to it, Will. I guess that's
I'm
not
telling
shocking.
you, if you've not seen the movie, what's the movie? Oh, help me. When they sing this. Boogie Nights, when they sing this. Best part of the movie.
I meant Transformers, the animated movie.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
But best part is Boogie Nights. But that being said, Will Harrison, congratulations. First win of the season. How's it feel?
Nice to get off the schneid, and we're on to next week.
Off the schneid and off to next week, and this has been another crowd-pleasing, heart-stopping, award-winning edition of your 12-man Fan Jam Show halftime trivia.
Of the world.
Of the world. We'll come back with some more draft picks in the second half of the show right after this. Stan, take us out, buddy.
I thought Roller Girl was a pretty good part of Boogie Nights.
It was. She was.
True.
You're listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show, a Seahawk Positivity production.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Holy shit, it's the third quarter.
All right, it's the third quarter and the start of the second half of your 12-Man Fan Jam Show. Hey, you. Yes, you, waiting for that call from the commissioner that will never come. Like, share, and subscribe to the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. Join our Facebook group, 12-Man Fan Jam Show. Look for us on Podbean. Look for us on iTunes. Do it now before your dream trades down. Oh, no. Your dreams have been traded down again. Too late. All right. Once again, well, congratulations on winning the 12-Man Fan Jam Show halftime trivia. Job well done, as always.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate that. We're going to move on now to the 5th and 6th round picks of our 2019 draft using Will's article from the from Seahawk Sal, 12th Man. The 12th Man reviews that he does. He did one on a draft that was absolutely fantastic. So we're going to open the 5th round now with a pick named Ben Burkervin. Will, what do you know about him?
Oh, Moses, before we get into that, I've just gotten word of a job opportunity for Sebastian Janikowski.
Oh, another possible job opportunity.
And now 12-Man Fan Jam proudly present job suggestions for retired kicker Sebastian Janikowski.
And in fact, there is an opening for a taste tester at the Belvedere Vodka Distillery.
That is the job for him. He should go there right now and just camp out.
Mr. Belvedere 2.0.
That's awesome. Well done. Well done, Will. Hey, Ben Burkervin, 176 tackles, led the FBS his senior year. A sound tackler, an instinctive playmaker, constant motor. Tell us a little bit more about him, Will.
Well, Moses, living in this part of the country, you see a lot of Washington Husky games, and pretty much anytime you watched a Husky game the last couple of years, you've seen Ben Burkervin flying around, making plays, making tackles, just being everywhere the team needs him to be. And the more I look at this guy, the more I think Lofa Tatupu.
Yeah.
Both another undersized linebacker, but somebody who just has the football smarts and the speed and just the wherewithal to, just be where he needs to be. And, if a blocker gets on him, he's going to have trouble untangling, but if he can stay free and move around, he's going to make plays, and he's going to see time on special teams to begin with. But you make room for guys like this on your team, and Pete Carroll and Ken Norton are going to make room to get Burkervin on the field on defense sooner rather than later, my prediction.
Excellent. Dustin, you also a little bit of a UW fan, aren't you?
I'm here. I don't really watch college football, though, to be honest with you. But unless the right answer is yes, and then yes, I am.
Yeah.
Play along with us, man.
Oh, sorry.
No, good, go ahead.
But no, the dude's a tackling machine from everything I've read.
Yeah.
I catch Huskies games here and there. I don't know most of the players, but I'll watch. And this guy, like I said, it sounds like he's a tackling machine. He's going to find the ball, get his nose in there, and make plays. So I'm all for that. I like the fact that they're getting all these guys that have been playing for a while, had a lot of football underneath them, stayed in college a little longer, and I'm sure leadership-wise, they're all pretty amazing too. If they're willing to be there and be the senior people on their teams, they got to be captains. So yeah, I'm loving pretty much everything they've done with all these picks so far.
Yeah, me too. Not from Washington State at the current time here, Statsman Mark. I saw a lot of film, and I saw him flying around a lot. What did you think?
Well, they mentioned the tackles, and 176. Wow, man, you divide that by how many games? Man, it's just incredible. It's just double digits, like pretty much every week. and they're saying, a little undersized, 6 foot, 230. But, again, this is just like, he just sounds like pure hustle. I don't follow, not following college, of course, I'm not gonna have the background, but, just another guy from, UW has produced a lot of them,
Yes.
and you and I talked a little bit post draft, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who thought of this, but instead of Benber, I just want to call him Timber Curvin, because if he's laying the and popping people, I like, but it's too easy. So we'll see if the Times or the Post or somebody plagiarize
Timber Curvin.
Hawks, $1 million,
nice.
$2 idea.
I was thinking Ben-Hur. I was going back even farther. I was thinking Ben-Hur, when him and riding a chariot or something,
Yeah, well, as long as we don't call him Raymond Curvin.
Yeah.
Then we'll be all right.
Little Ironsides there. Little Ironside joke, yeah.
Yeah, that's like my dad's talking about, like, Crazy Legs Hirsch jokes or something.
Yeah, basically. We reached back for that one. Something that wasn't a reach was the 6th round pick, Travis Homer, dope, from Miami. He projects as a 3rd down back. Should compete with some good playing time. Real quick, I'll tell you this, and from the Draft Bible author, Homer's a nifty upfield runner with his feel and plant-to-go cane skills. Versatility as a pass catcher, blocker, and special teamer will make him an attractive NFL team, fitting best in a 3rd down role. What are your thoughts?
Well, first off, insert obligatory Homer pick joke here.
Oh, it's a Homer pick. Yep, well done.
But no, you look at you look at Seattle's roster right now. J.D. McKissick is actually listed as a return specialist, not a running back.
Yeah.
It's May, so there's a good chance C.J. Prosise has suffered a season-ending injury already. Mike Davis is in Chicago. I mean, there's room for a guy like Homer to come in and play that 3rd down back role. I mean, he does well pass and run blocking. He's a decent receiving threat out of the backfield. He can does a good job running the ball. He doesn't have the best vision. Sometimes he can't find the open lanes, but for somebody to stay in the backfield, watch Wilson 6 be a safety valve and run the ball a few times, he's good value at this pick.
Yeah. Dustin, your thoughts?
I like what Will said.
All right.
I'm not a big college football guy, but I mean,
yeah.
I like that they're just throwing talent in their places, even in areas where they're kind of rich right now with the running backs they have.
Yeah.
Throw talent in there, see what happens, and see if he can't make the team, he can push somebody to be better. So I'm all over it.
I agree. I saw some nice film from Miami on him, Mark.
Well, and it also, he had a good combine between the 40 and I think a couple of the jumps, vertical and the broad. So, and in fact, top 5 in all 3 categories.
Wow,
so that part sounds great on paper. He does. I guess he had some fumbling problems, and even a nice gum snapping guy like Pete is not going to tolerate it. And it says here he fumbled 4 times. It sounds like a decent amount. I think some guys go a whole season. I don't know. Anyway, but at this point, it initially 5'10", 202, and he can burn it up sprinting. So it sounds like another special teamer, and we'll see. Once you get into 6 and 7 rounds, we'll see if he even makes the team.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, hey, at this point, you take the flyer, and there's some definitely measurables that they can work with.
Absolutely. And then the pick in the 6th round, we went to Christmas, and we picked DeMarcus Christmas, defensive tackle out of Florida State. Looks the part of a defensive back there, or defensive back. Looks the part of a defensive tackle, right, Will?
Yeah, trivia bit here, Moses. Not only is his name Christmas, but he was born on July 4th.
Oh, seeing that was going to be a trivia question tonight if Maddie had showed up. So you would have known that. Yeah, born on July 4th, and his name's Christmas, which is kind of cool.
So you look at Christmas at the collegiate level, and yeah, like I said, he definitely looks the part. He never really put it all together. So this is a kind of, you know, 6th to 7th round, you're gambling on upside anyway. This is the kind of thing where if the Seahawks can take him and if he can develop, get his stuff together, this could prove to be a steal. If not, then, you know, we've got a decent 2-down run-plugging defensive tackle, which we do need. So
yes, we do. We need a little meat on that line, don't we, Dustin?
Absolutely. He's big and strong, and apparently isn't as but that's something that can be taught up here. I mean,
sure.
We got great coaches and a good team, so a guy like that, size-wise and athletic-wise, you know, hopefully get in there and make some plays for us.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about Christmas, Mark?
Well, speaking of plagiarizing, you know, what I've been reading, I guess they say he's a 3 technique, and which is the same as Jaron Reed, as opposed to a nose tackle, and that's where the Hawks actually kind of have an opening for that spot. But, you know, 6'3", 302 was this our coach, Clint Hurt. Great name. Jeez, I got to get to know my coaches. Hurt with a double T. He's tough, rugged, run defender, very instinctive, quiet by nature. But you know, he's a fit for our D line. So again, at this point, man, if any of these guys stick, you know, it's it's shrewd drafting because you know, and the name. I wonder too if sometimes you just see a name, it's like, yeah, Chris, that sounds cool. We'll just take him. So
why didn't I think of? Why wasn't he on my list? I don't know.
Yeah. So and actually, it makes sense for Lamp to possibly adopt a Christmas pick, right?
Oh.
Supposedly, he was the first player with the name of Christmas who was ever drafted in the NFL.
Oh, really? Interesting. Because you would think Father would have had a pick or two, but Father Christmas.
Well,
he went undrafted.
Yeah. And if he was drafted in a different league, it could be X Mass, right? For the
God.
XFL. Oh yeah. Yeah. They're gonna have to change the name.
Ooh. Hey, listen. Speaking of X's, I do have. It looks like another Janikowski job possibility is on the line here. Let's see.
And now 12-Man Fan Jam proudly present job suggestions for retired kicker Sebastian Janikowski.
I'm almost sad to say this might be the last time we hear this. All right. Possible jobs for retired Sebastian Janikowski. He could become a Polish loan shark, and what that means is he gives all his money away and then he leaves town. So,
man. Wow.
And on that note, we will go. We will end the third quarter, please.
It's the end of the third quarter, bitches.
All right, send all your suggestions to me. Coming up next, we finish looking at the Seahawks draft. We make our grades. We finish up the show gracefully, and maybe no more Janikowskis. Who knows? You are currently listening and watching a 12-Man Fan Jam show where it feels a little drafty in here. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam show, a Seahawk Positivity production.
Are we having fun yet?
Holy shit, it's the fourth quarter.
All right, it is the final quarter, episode 703, your 12-Man Fan Jam show, your place for Seahawk fun and silliness. So we're almost done with the draft, the 11 picks of the Seahawks. We've gone through 10. We're going to look at the 7th round and the current list of undrafted free agents that were invited to come to Seattle to try and make the team. But before that, you know, it is our May edition, basically, of the 12-Man Fan Jam show. We're not sure when we'll be back. There may be one at the end of May. We'll let that you know on the 12-Man Fan Jam show Facebook page when we'll be back for episode 704. But we're going to take at least a couple weeks off. And of course, right now, this time of year, everywhere, it is prom time, and you know, I tell you what, the prom, they played this for every slow dance, didn't they, Mark? Mark, do you agree with me? Yeah. Okay. What were you saying
yes.
You were saying something.
Oh, I was saying that you know, I got dragged to Top Gun.
Yeah, Top Gun. If you've not seen
so it
this.
turns out Top Gun. The lesson is Top Gun was way ahead of the gender identity game.
Basically.
No. All right, that fell flat.
Yeah, it's all right. Top Gun, prom, Berlin, take my breath away. It's all here. All right, enough of that. Hey, let's talk some football, shall we? Reliving some of our favorite prom moments. I had 3 of the worst proms known to man.
Oh, no.
But we won't compare notes. We'll do that later. 7th round in the Seahawk draft is what we're going to talk about now. The Seahawks were out. They were done. Everyone's like, oh, what a great draft. They went on. We all went about our business. And all of a sudden, Twitter breaks in.
Wait,
we're not done yet. We're not done at all. They trade up, and they get themselves a wide receiver from Hawaii. A gentleman by the name of John. I haven't heard it. Ursua, I'm guessing. Ursua.
Ursua, yeah.
Thank you. Led the nation last year with 16 receiving touchdowns, 1343 receiving yards, 89 catches. That's a lot for a guy 5'9", 178. Playmaking ability. Will, what are your thoughts on jumping back in to get this guy?
Well, it shows you the kind of value they placed on him because they figured there were a lot of teams bidding on him as an undrafted free agent. They're like, we got to have this guy. We're going to have to draft him. But, Pete Carroll's never really had a Edelman, Amendola, Wes Welker type of receiver before. Just some guy who's real small, real shifty, just kind of flits in and out and finds ways to get open. This kid could be fun to watch. I mean, I don't know how much utility he offers. I mean, he's going to need to play special teams probably to get a spot on the roster, but this I don't know. Something about this kid. He just finds a way to make plays, and this type of player again is not somebody we've had before, so it could be fun to watch.
He could be. Dustin, something as a message, I think, when you go back into the 7th round, when your draft is done and get a guy.
Yeah, I think it means that they have the intent to keep him if they gave up a draft pick to get him when they didn't have to. And everything I've been hearing up here, at least on the radio and from the guys, they're saying that look and build wise out there, because they're out there today, he's similar to Doug Baldwin in that regard.
Nice.
So yeah, maybe it's a possible Doug Baldwin type move if they're not sure he's coming back or not.
Yeah, could be. He has a lot of catches, Mark. A lot of catches, a lot of touchdowns. Playmaker. Shifty.
Yeah, I mean, really productive. As you guys mentioned, 5'9", 182, but worker. And I'm wondering, it doesn't really say it here or anything that I'd read elsewhere. But I'm wondering if he maybe it just turns out that compared to DK and West Virginia guy. Well, I'm terrible with names. Jennings? Am I getting that right?
Yes.
So maybe it could turn out that he's the best route runner of the 3. I'm wondering if it's kind of part of the reason.
Disconnected from your channel.
They didn't. There's nothing really mentioned to that effect. But
I think he's going to be the shortest of the 3 for sure.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But again, maybe if he's a keeper. I mean, they did trade up to get him. Maybe that helps. Increases odds of sticking, but and he's a slot receiver, so again, there's definitely possibly a role to fill there with Baldwin status. So
yeah, pretty much.
But
undrafted.
No, okay, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, just really quick. Again, there's this kind of this background quirk that Pete and John seem to like. So he was born in Hawaii, high school in Utah, and then he went on a 2-year mission in France before enrolling at UH. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's a different kind of road. And Pete and John, they seem to kind of like these stories that are interesting, different.
They definitely do. Undrafted free agents, an interesting list. This is where Will and I kind of tied. Derek Thomas was somebody on his list, so he got a point, and Jazz Ferguson was somebody on my list. A couple guys that stand out to me on this list. Jazz Ferguson, who's a receiver, and also Delaney Hart Johnson from New Mexico. If he's on that list, both of them are 6'3", 6'4" physical receivers. And I'm going to tell you, I really, really, really like Adam Choice from Clemson. This was a guy I watched a lot of Clemson football this year. This is a guy that really can handle the ball, and I don't know where we're going to put him. But I'm giving him a chance to make the team. Well, what are your thoughts on the undrafted free agents that were invited? Will's speechless right now. So I will send it to Dustin. Dustin, any thought on any undrafted free agents?
Yeah, they got a couple of them that size-wise are kind of freaks. The dude, Jazz Ferguson, 6'5".
Yeah,
That is a big receiver, 227.
Yes.
And he ran a 4.45 40-yard dash.
Yes.
I mean, he's a big dude. And they got this, was he a lineman? He's 366 pounds, a defensive tackle. That is ridiculous. 6'3", 366. He's kind of tall for a defensive tackle, but I mean, that is huge. Talk about a run stuffer.
Yeah.
I noticed there's only one guy that they brought in that was under 6 feet tall, so they're definitely going for some size.
Yeah, and it's kind of what they did at USC. At USC, Pete Carroll brought in the big receivers, and so all of a sudden, here's the big receivers again that he's used to having in the past. Mark, anybody on the undrafted free agent list you want to talk about?
Well, the thing, these names, I don't know. I mean, you guys mentioned, of course, physically. There's that one guy that's just kind of a freak. But what the bottom line, the easiest way, with free agents and with, again, since Pete and John have been here, is that it seems, and I haven't, looked it up in terms of comparing it to the league. It seems that we have an incredibly high amount of the undrafted free agents that are on our 53. By September, and in fact, I think there's been seasons recently where more guys on our final roster were undrafted than drafted.
Yes.
I think
absolutely.
that has happened I don't know how many times, but that in and of itself is the most fascinating thing to me, rather than any of these guys we picked up. But the measurables, when you glance at the list of all these guys, they look good on paper. We'll see how many stick, but you got to feel as encouraged as you could be being capable of making an NFL roster when you go undrafted and you're picked up by Pete and John. I mean, because they know their odds are really good.
Seattle's got the reputation.
Yes,
that may increase their hustle factor on top of the money they could potentially make. So
exactly.
That's the easiest way for me to sum it all up.
Will, your thoughts on the undrafted free agents? Anything stand out for you?
Well, I like that kid Derek Thomas out of Baylor, and not just because he saved my bacon in the draft challenge, but you look at the guy. He's got the size and speed. He's everything Seattle looks for in an outside cornerback. So, and I think he got a pretty decent bonus to sign here too. So the team clearly was wanting him here no matter what.
Okay, well, that's the draft. It was a long draft. There was a lot of picks. We went from 4 picks to 11. Dustin, if you had to give this draft a grade, what would you give it?
I'd say that the only real glaring thing that they were missing was that fast defensive end that they wanted. So I'd say probably a solid A- or B+ to A-. I'll go B+.
Okay, B+. Yeah. Zorni?
You know what? I'll go A-. In the past, I think I've given a little bit, out of our group anyway, some a little more kind of harsher or lower grades in the past. But this draft just, it feels, we have no idea how it'll turn out, but just pick by pick, round by round, it feels like the most solid draft in a while to me. It doesn't feel like we overreach them. There's always going to be criticism. It's practically built in ESPN or anybody or any other network's mind that, Seattle, they'll, no matter who we choose, they'll almost call it a reach automatically. But you know what? It's like, again, Pete and John are really slick at spotting not only the what's on paper, but some of the intangibles. So I'll go A- just because A would be, I don't know if we landed whomever, I don't know, but it's definitely feels like a solid draft to me.
Excellent. And Will, what about you?
Well, I love the players we got. I think we got some great players, addressed some serious needs, definitely addressed depth. But I'm going to give them a B just because, again, like has been mentioned, their main priority coming into this draft was a pure edge rusher, which they didn't get. Now, that's not, it's not the end of the world because obviously they're looking at veteran options. We've got $17 million more in cap space now that Frank Clark is gone.
Yes.
And we're almost certainly going to make some moves in the next couple of weeks. So we're gonna bring in an edge rusher. But I like the guys we did bring in the draft. I think there's going to be a lot of contributors from this year's class.
I do too, and I think they get an A just from going from 4 picks to 11, which is spectacular because we thought only 4 picks. They got to get more picks. They got to get more picks. They got to get more picks.
Oh, look, they got more picks.
They got more picks in the first day. So
that in itself is a work in my opinion, but what they brought in is even better. And so I'm giving them a solid A, of course, until they prove me otherwise. I think someone brought this to my attention during the draft, the little scrawls they put on the bottom for the teams. And the team with the best record in the NFC since 2012 is your Seattle Seahawks. And that's a 7-year span. So you know what? I'm giving them a little credit here. I'm saying these guys kind of maybe know what they're doing. I think they know what they're doing. Real quick, before we call it an evening, Cam Chancellor on Instagram for the rookies that just started camp as of today, I believe. Cam sent a message to them all, and Cam's just, how great is he? Even not playing anymore, how great is he? Cam said to all the rookies going into mini camp this weekend, I hope you all enjoy this experience as much as I did. I hope you come in with a mentality to not only take care of business, but have fun during the process. Take it all in and leave no doubt at home. Leave the doubt at home, he says. Like I always say, if you scared, get a dog. So, ball out and best wishes, young man. We appreciate that. And now it is time to bring this 12-man Fan Jam show to a sad close. And I thought, at the suggestion of somebody from the posse, since we've been making fun of Sebastian and his wonderful home of Poland, that we would change the theme song going out tonight to this episode to the Polish national anthem. To once again, thanks Sebastian Janikowski for being part of our team for a year. We appreciate seeing somebody that looks like us in a Seahawk uniform, so we appreciate that. It is time to put another 12-man Fan Jam show in the books. We're glad you joined us. We hope you laughed a little. Maybe you learned a little bit. What did we learn? Well, here is what we learned, comrades. We learned that CJ Procise is already injured, probably. We learned England has voting elections and that Sebastian needs a job. We learned all that and so much more. So on behalf of my partner in crime, Matt, who is not here, our newshound Shadowhawk Will and his wonderful article on the draft, Statsman Mark, Dustin as the Beaver, Roger Goodell, Mosette, Little Mo, Joe Pesci, Sebastian Janikowski, the lovely, fantastic, beautiful country of Poland. This is Moses saying until next time, and as always, go Hawks, comrades.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Hey, you think we can maybe just throw all these guys back into the draft pool and do this again next week?
Yeah,
but I like the guys.
The research.
All right, let's check that out.